My name is Sarah Fraley, and this project is for EDLC 632 Literacy and Language Instruction for the fall semester B term of 2023. The language arts topic for this presentation is reading, and our learning outcomes are to understand the reading process and learn how to implement and differentiate the process. We'll start out by exploring the reading process. Tompkins explains that a reader moves through a 5-stage process when reading. The first stage of the reading process is pre-reading. Tompkins explains that this stage is when students will activate their background knowledge. They might examine the book by looking at the title or pictures, or they might watch a video or have a discussion focusing on the topic of the book. Students will also set goals for their reading. They might consider the overall purpose for reading about the topic. Creating goals can help set a direction for reading and can also increase the student's motivation for reading. Finally, students plan for reading. They'll consider the type of book or the organization of the book and might make predictions to prepare for reading. The second stage of the process is reading. Tompkins discusses some of the most common ways the reading stage can take place. Students might participate in independent reading, which is when the students read silently to themselves, guided reading, when students are split into groups according to their reading level and the teacher guides and assists through the text, shared reading, when students have their own copy and they follow along as the teacher reads, reading aloud to students, the teacher reads to students, making sure to model fluent reading, and buddy reading. Students pair up and read together. They can discuss meaningful parts of the book. The third stage of the reading process is responding. In order to deepen understanding, students talk or write about what they've read. Tompkins explains that this often takes place through completion of reading logs or through grand conversations. Reading logs are when students write their own thoughts or feelings about the reading. They might follow prompts given by the teacher or create their own. Grand conversations are when students have conversations about the reading. This can take place in small groups, as a whole class, or both. The fourth stage of the reading process is exploring. During this stage, students examine or dig into their reading. Tompkins explains that students can do this by close reading, which is when students look at things such as the author's purpose, the viewpoint, or tone of the story. They might also use annotations to make notes in the story. Students can also examine the writer's craft. This is when they look into how the author has written the text. What's the genre? What is the structure? Students can make story maps or storyboards to help with understanding the writer's craft. Students also focus on vocabulary. Here, students look at words from the story that are important or unfamiliar. They can make visual representations of the words, play games with them, add them to the classroom word wall, or any other activity that helps them with comprehending the words. And mini lessons. Teachers can hold mini lessons during the reading stage that allow students to learn more about reading strategies by connecting those to the text. The fifth stage is applying. During this stage, students further their understanding of the book and expand on their thoughts and responses. This is often done using the language arts, talking, writing, or visually representing. This is a great time for students to complete a project, allowing them to demonstrate their knowledge on the reading, such as a presentation, book report, or research activity. Now that we've covered the reading process, it's important to consider ways that teachers can incorporate the process into their own classroom. Tompkins specifically points out that teachers must actively implement the stages of the reading process. It does not happen on its own, it must be planned and taught explicitly. There are 4 factors that should be the focus when teaching the reading process. Those are word identification, the student's ability to actually read the words in the text; fluency, the student's ability to read at an acceptable speed with accuracy and with prosody; vocabulary, students will continue to expand and strengthen their knowledge of various words; and comprehension, the student's ability to actually understand what they're reading. Last, we'll look at some examples of how to differentiate the reading process. Kuhn and Stahl explain that grouping is a way to differentiate by using collaborative learning. Students can be split into similar or different abilities groups. They can work in large groups, small groups, or in pairs. Huzio, Colby, and Algio Nichols also explain the usefulness of choice when differentiating. Allowing students to choose the book they read or the topic of their project can let students feel more in control of their learning. To review, we've just learned the 5 stages of the reading process, the 4 important factors used to implement the process, and 2 useful examples for differentiating the process. Thanks for watching.